Meantime, here, more than a dozen city correction workers and inmates have died in the pandemic. And now a group of workers are suing the city. CBS 2's Aundrea Cline-Thomas has the story.
Stephen, whose last name we agreed not to share, is among the nearly 1,700 inmates released since the coronavirus outbreak ravaged city jails. He was on Rikers Island for a technical violation of his probation, which means he was not facing any new charges.
They would really just tell us, nobody's sick, and then next thing you know, a captain's sick, an inmate's sick.
Concerned for his safety, Stephen was living in dorms where he says social distancing was impossible.
How are you going to do that when there's 50 men inside of a dorm? No bigger than a hall that people throw parties in. They told us to wash our hands. They never gave us hand sanitizers, no gloves, nothing.
A lawsuit filed by the various correction unions calls the city jails a cesspool of illness. They want to end 24-hour shifts and require recovering staff to test negative for COVID-19 before being ordered back to work. As of Friday, 373 current detainees had tested positive for the virus. 3 have died. Exponentially more have been exposed. And more than 900 Department of Corrections staff have tested positive since the outbreak began. 6 correction officers have died, and union leaders say city officials were too slow to respond.
Being reactive, we feel, is causing correction officers to die.
Correction Officer Elias Hussamadeen is the president of the Benevolent Association that had to sue the city to get officers free testing and better sanitation of their workspaces. Unlike the NYPD, correction officers had to fight for protective equipment.
We're not going to wait for the Department of Corrections. We're not going to wait for the city of New York to provide us with the PPEs and the things that we need.
But the focus of the jail outbreak has mainly been on the release of detainees, especially those who are older than 50 or have underlying health conditions. Almost all of the 4,000 who remain are awaiting trial. Public advocate Jumani Williams says it should not be a death sentence and is calling for half of the inmates to be released.
We're talking about seniors who have comorbidities. We're talking about people who have less than a year to serve. We're talking about people who may be awaiting bail. So these are not folks that we're saying are hyper dangerous to the community.
Correction officers disagree, citing the dozens of recently released inmates who have already reoffended. We reached out to the Department of Correction. They sent over their protocol but refused an on-camera interview. Still, officers, attorneys, and detainees agree that the jails are a petri dish and say more needs to be done to keep everyone safe. Aundrea Cline-Thomas, CBS 2 News.